Okay, everyone, welcome to another week. I have to ask, we got some tired faces out there. How late were you up last night? Did any of you make it to midnight? Midnight? Okay. 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m.? Oh my goodness. I'll tell you, I looked at this Google document last night at like 3 or 4 a.m. and I think I saw about 30 people on this Google document, okay? So definitely a bit of a longer assignment, okay? The assignments are going to start getting shorter, especially when we get to like homeworks, I think 5 and 6. And then 7 is a super easy 2-week homework. So the breaks are coming. But please begin these assignments early if you can, okay? Again, I was talking with my staff. It was Sunday at I think about 2 or 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and I started to see some race cars getting posted in the Discord server. I said, oh no, that's bad news, okay? And they're going to be up all night, okay? And I think they were. So, you don't want to do that too often, okay? You do not want to be staying up all night too often. That is not healthy for you. And what's more, the knowledge that you gain through that very hard day of work, you don't get quite as much out of it, okay, if you then skimp on sleep the following night. So, have any of you played the Elder Scrolls games, Skyrim, Oblivion, any of those games? Yeah? Anyone play an RPG game? So what's interesting about the Elder Scrolls games is you gain experience by fighting, by sneaking around, by running around, by doing things, right? But you do not level up until you sleep, okay? You can gain as much experience as you want, but you're not going to level up until you sleep. A quick story. Way back in high school, I'm trying to learn how to play the piano, okay? And I've got this piece that I'm working on. I've got this really difficult piece, and I'm just working it hour after hour, and I can't get my fingers to work properly, okay? I can't read the notes fast enough. I think, oh my gosh, this is so frustrating. I'm never gonna be able to play this piece properly, right? And so I was very frustrated and angry, and I went to sleep, okay? I woke up the next morning after 8 hours of sleep, and I went to try the piece, just like that. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Okay? So it is in human biology that you need to gain experience, and then you need to get good sleep and some good meals, and that will convert your experience into a level up, okay? So please do not skimp on these things. I'll tell you, each of the problems in these homeworks, they're only about, 3 to 4 points, okay? If you want to skip some of these problems, skip these problems, okay? It's not a huge loss. There's extra credit coming, okay? I've said that a few times. If you're running out of time, skip a few problems, okay? Not a big deal. Read it. Maybe it's not so interesting to you. Just skip it, okay? But the best thing is try and work your time management so you can start these assignments a bit earlier. If for no other reason, it'll give you a good feel for how long certain questions will take, okay? So later you can be much more efficient. You can prioritize what you need to. Okay? The assignments are, I think, going to start getting a bit earlier. The play tests we did over the summer suggested this was the longest assignment in the course. So hopefully these future assignments will be a little bit faster for you. Won't be quite as much of a pain. I want to show you really quickly, just if you haven't seen this Discord, you're all going crazy in the Discord. These are phenomenal. Oh my gosh, look at that. That one snuck in there. Okay, I didn't even see that one. Be careful about that one. But these are really fantastic. Super creative designs. Oh, I think maybe they're not always loading for me. But super cool. I was talking to some students. That's awesome. I was talking to some students during office hours who were they were looking at other people's art, and they were feeling a bit down, maybe. This stuff is pretty much all fantastic. I haven't seen a model I didn't think was cool yet. Something to keep in mind for all of you is that there are a lot of different levels of experience in this course. And there are also a lot of different schedules in this course. So have you ever heard that phrase, comparison is the thief of joy, right? And the reason is that you can be kicking ass, okay? You can be doing a fantastic job only to then notice someone else who's creating really, really cool models. And then you lose all your morale, your spirit's gone. You think, oh my gosh, I worked so hard and yet I'm getting my butt kicked, right? Actually, that's usually not the case. So there are students in this course who have a lot of experience in Blender, and there are also students in this course who have a different schedule or different priorities, which lets them dump hours into their 20-minute models. I kid you not, okay? By the way, that's not a bad thing if you're doing that. I kind of designed the course to kind of coax people into dumping lots of time in, because that's how you get better much faster. But what you need to know is when you see a super cool model, watch that process video. Learn as much as you can and then note, oh yeah, this person took like 3 hours, okay? I could do a little bit better job if I had 3 hours, okay? So take inspiration from the people around you and the great work they're doing, but don't let it diminish what you're doing, okay? And everyone moves at their own pace as well, okay? It's a long race. In fact, it's not even a race at all, all right? The only person you're racing against is you from last week, okay? As long as you're getting better, you don't have to worry where you are today, okay? Just keep getting better. You'll eventually get to where you want to be, I promise. Look at all these amazing models, right? We got some kind of animal characters, right? That's a really good, like, humanoid character. Looks fantastic. Wow. Okay, we got some very timely characters. We got Hornet here. Fantastic. Even the pin. Okay. We got a creeper. We got all sorts of cool characters. We've got kind of a cybernetic, maybe stealth character. Okay. The shading on this character reminds me of the Nintendo 64 era enormously. Looks fantastic. I'm very nostalgic for that era. What else we got here? Yeah, I got some just fantastic stuff. We got a Michigan student, okay. We got like a cool ninja character, okay, cybernetic ninja character. All sorts of cool stuff. Ramona Flowers, right? Scott Pilgrim character, okay, a Pokemon. I'm only a Gen 1 guy, so I have no idea who this is. Yeah, it just looks fantastic, all of these. So well done, everyone. Your skills are going through the roof. I show your work, I show your models, your daily models to other people across campus, and they can't even believe it. Okay, they think you're at the end of the semester already. In reality, you're just getting started, okay? Imagine how powerful you're going to be in 7-8 more weeks. It's going to be awesome. Look at all this fantastic stuff. Well done, team. Well done. Okay, so yeah, when you get a moment, relax and take a look through all this cool stuff your friends are building, and yeah, you'll learn a bit. I want to show you a really cool video I saw the other day. Right now in 2025, across the games industry, but also across film and also across a lot of media, and I think actually other topics as well, maybe even politics, you would say. Authenticity is kind of a lacking ingredient. And I thought this video kind of speaks to some of that. This is going to show you the development team behind the Elder Scrolls Oblivion. And in particular, I want you to notice a couple things about this team. This is a small team, okay? Compared to the size of teams today, this is a very small team. But notice how the developers talk about their craft, okay? And notice where this interview, where these conversations take place, okay? It'll tell you a lot about what the team cared about. Let's take a look. The sincerity of the Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Sincerity, authenticity. It's good stuff, okay? Let's take a look.
This color texture is perfect for some of the textures that we were trying to recreate.
I mean, obviously the moss in general is mostly green. There's lots of other details here that really help.
make the textures more believable. You know, there's lots of other backgrounds in here, lots of little highlights in green, just other little random bits of nature. I've always obsessed over natural foliage and just greenery and games in general. For some reason, I think that's really cool. It's just not something that you normally see, and I definitely think it's a fun environment in a game to play in. You think about leaves individually, they're probably pretty close to the same color, but you see them all in a scene like this. There's so much contrast and play of light. In the foreground here is an example of some of our grass that we have in the game. They really add a sense of movement and life. Like, it really makes the ground feel much more organic.
I get a chance to really look at every aspect of the game artistically, but primarily I focus on the environments.
Well, it originally starts out as me just thinking about things while I'm working. But later on, after I have some good source images, I'll do a pencil sketch like this. That's more defined, something that I can model from. I think it's really hard to come up with an interesting idea for something that's evil. It's a lot harder than you think. A lot of times I think it looks really cool, but it's not necessarily scary. Actually, this is kind of the most fun part of the game sometimes, because you're still making up ideas. It might not get named, but it's I don't know. You just get to make up crazy stuff. It's cool. So,
a lot of the visual impact is going to boil down from the texture, from the coloration, and then using like shader techniques to try and get the shine, sheen, the cragginess to it, like how the light displays across it.
It's really fun because we go everywhere to find source photographs. Like we took a day trip to DC one weekend, and we just took tons of pictures of building, trying to get the just the right stone pattern.
Yeah, so it ends up looking somewhat boring to you, but we can take the edges of these stones here on the ground, or all the little stains in there, and use those and build a whole new one in the game.
Can't get over how much this looks like something in the game. It looks really nice. Even like just the top part there. Actually, the hard thing to find generally is just finding nice patterns. Just architectural details. Just things that we can put into a building to give it some more decoration. A really good example is you can see the coffer ceiling. I tried to build something just like that at the temple in the Imperial City. So I tried to recreate something very similar to that. It's actually the top of the dome, but I'm using it for the top of an altar instead. So once I add all these different layers into it, it's more like final texture.
Basically take care of all characters, creatures, that sort of thing. My particular favorite is the horse. You study the skeleton and know exactly how it should move. What you need to do is make sure that the rest of the body reacts to that movement, because it does in real life. Yeah, was that, watching her move, and it also helps to when I ride, I can feel what's going on. So feeling is a good part of the game as well, because you think about your body position and everything else while you're riding. Yeah. It's fun.
And then before you know it, you have this world that you created in your own mind that you can sort of experience and feel the atmosphere and sort of dread and the scariness of it. Well, I'm one of the world artists, but I specialize in the Oblivion, plain art, and the lower class. The stuff that's really dirty and dingy and sort of nasty, or the stuff that's very deadly and scary. Somewhat moniker. That seems to be in my comfort zone, but also give people questions as to why it's there and what it stands for. That could be more interesting what you read into it rather than literal. What your mind plans sometimes is far cooler than the reality of situations. I live a pretty normal life. I have a wife and two daughters. They exist in that world with me, like they're exposed to monsters and to films and all the stuff that I have in Hal. You want to hear something really cool? What? You need to go to Mark's house right now. Okay. Just imagine the best it could be. It's even better than that. You want to go to Mark's house right now? Was it good?
I was born 87 years ago. For 65 years, I ruled this town river. But for all these years, I've never been the ruler of my own. Generals and kings have said that.
That's such a cheesy line. That sounds good when he says it. I don't know if we could have picked it. There's another actor who could have had great dialogue. Like seriously, I geeked out over Star Trek for years. It was on while I was in college. Literally, all my friends would sit around and watch Star Trek, drink beer, and act like idiots. I don't have a picture of my wife right now, but I've got Patrick Stewart on my wall. So there's no better actor as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, I'm happy.
They're my actors, they're my children, they have to pay properly. And they're not acting right, everyone comes looking to me. So yeah, I talk to them and I have them set up and know what they do. And yeah, it's kind of odd.
There's kind of a quiet solitude about it, where there may be lots of cool and interesting things going on with the game. You can sort of know that it's in its own pocket, so to speak. It's kind of isolated from reality. It's really nice when they're cluttered with lots of interesting things that fool you for a second thinking that you're in a real world.
Okay, so when you see these developers on this small team, right, doing their various roles, you can't help just listening to them talk, seeing what they do. This isn't just an artist making another model. This is an animator who is literally interacting with the animals that she has to then go animate. She's literally riding a horse. She loves horses, right? She is the perfect person to animate for this particular game. For the people who are doing art and creating environments, they aren't just in front of a computer. They're actually out, okay? These are nerds that actually go out and touch grass. And that is what makes them so powerful. They are very, very sincere. They are going to make incredible environments, and they do that by getting out there, okay? They go to DC. They take references, okay? They love their field outside of just getting the next paycheck and completing the next model, okay? And so sincerity, right, is what you start to feel. It's this kind of ephemeral, difficult to pin down thing. But you start to feel it in products and in games when the people involved are really, really sincere and into what they're doing, okay? So I would recommend strive to be a similar way. Find what you love and invest yourself in it. Do the best you can. Don't just say, I'm going to make something, okay? I'm going to live that thing. All right, I'm going to really understand it, get into it, explore it deeply, okay? And you'll find your work starts to feel more sincere as you do this. Okay, some reminders, okay? If you are a Mac user in this course, whenever you see Alt, your mind will replace that with Option, okay? The Command key on your keyboard is not a thing in Blender. It does not exist. Blender won't use it, okay? The important keys are Control, which you have on your keyboard, Windows and Mac users, and Alt, which if you're a Mac user is called Option, okay? So if you ever see a hotkey and it just says Alt-P, you know that's Option P for you Mac users, okay? Please start these homeworks early, okay? I know it's difficult. I know it's not that easy. You've got other courses. You've got other responsibilities, I know. But hopefully, I don't want to see this too much more. 38 total viewers working on the homework last night at like 2 a.m., okay? I'm going to try and make the homeworks a little bit more efficient for you and try and make them a bit shorter. So hopefully you won't need quite as much time in the future. But yeah, we want to try and get that down so you're finishing and feeling comfortable with it, okay? N-gons. We talked about N-gons at the last lecture. They are up to no good. They are going to ruin your shading and make your topology crappy, okay? So N-gons, do you remember what they are? Tries, okay? 3 vertices in a face. That's a try. 4 vertices in a face, that's a quad. That's what we prefer most of the times. Stick with quads and some tries and you'll have a good time, okay? If you have an n-gon, that is 5 or more vertices for a face. And this is the kind of nastiness that it can result in. So one of our students had an n-gon, and in their daily model mailbox. It's a good mailbox. I think they did a great job in 20 minutes. But if you look at this, there's just a huge n-gon on the top of this thing. You can click on this. Look at this big face. You can see already. I don't even have to switch to vertex mode. You can see how many vertices are forming this big polygon. Okay, this is probably like a 20-gon. Okay, massive. This might look fine in Blender, but when you try and export it to another program, look at what it looks like in Sketchfab. Okay? And game engines probably won't like this either. You bring this into Unity or Unreal, it's going to look nasty. Okay? If you try and render this model, it might look bad too, even if you stay in Blender. So this right here, very nasty. That n-gon, Sketchfab doesn't know how to handle it. Okay? It splits it up, it tries to deal with it, it makes the wrong choice, and it looks terrible. How do you fix this? Well, for this one, not too bad. Go to your model, go to that n-gon, and you can see we split it up. All right, I took the knife tool, and we cut that n-gon into a bunch of quads, and then we also had to make some tries on the side. And so, things are a lot more normal now. Programs you take this model to now kind of understand your intentions a little bit better, and it can render the object much more properly. Okay, so upload that fixed version to Sketchfab, and the problem is gone. Okay, so n-gons, right? Be careful if you start subdividing. If you subdivide the entire mesh, you'll be fine. If you subdivide like one piece of a mesh, you're making n-gons almost certainly. You use the knife tool, you gotta be careful. You can create n-gons that way. The magical operations that won't create n-gons will keep you in quads. What are they? Extrude, okay, inset, edge loop. And I think there's some more too. I think bevel, which some of you used on your mailboxes, bevel will create n-gons if you're not careful. Anyway, it's not the end of the world if you do, but just know if you're starting to get nasty shading problems, go in and cut those things up, get some quads and tries going, okay? A pro strategy on homework 1. Do you remember this particular problem when you had to find the sun shield? You got this big mesh. Oh, how am I going to find that? Well, you want me to show you how I found it? Or one way you can find it easily? Go to the materials. You'll see that there's a material for the sun shield. You can change that material to emissive and make it bright red so it pops out. Boom, just like that. You can also do fun things like select by material, which will allow you to select the object right away, at which point you can move it or enlarge it or whatever you want to do. This is one of those funny things where there was a technique to do this part really easily if you knew about it beforehand. It's kind of like revisiting a game and playing it a second time, and you realize you can skip a portion of the map by using a technique you learn way later, right? Kind of fun. But just know that, right, in Blender, there are so many ways to do things. Of course, there are ways Blender wants you to do things, and that will be the most simple and straightforward, but okay. All right, your second homework, homework 2, is due. I hope that went okay for you. The feedback that I'm seeing in the feedback form is that, yep, it was a bit lengthy. Okay, so I'll be going in again and I'll be kind of trying to chop some stuff out, make it a bit more efficient for you. The good news is that I think the homeworks are going to start to plateau in their difficulty and length, and it's going to start to go down. In particular, your next big break is this homework 7, okay? Homework 7, 3D IRL. It's going to be an easy homework, okay? You're going to have 2 weeks to do it. It'll be a nice, good break. We're going to watch Flow, okay, together in Stamps Auditorium. You'll get some extra credit if you attend that. Nice and easy extra credit to get. And then we will enter the second half of the course, okay? Okay, this week you are working on your third homework assignment. This is a texture and UVs related assignment. This is an assignment and a topic that we're actually going to talk about today. This is the idea that sometimes when we are trying to add detail, add color, add flavor to our models, we don't really want to do that by introducing more geometry, more materials, okay? there are other much better ways to do this, much faster ways to do this, much more performant ways to do this, and we're going to explore some of those ways today, okay? You may have seen some really great texture work on some of the daily models, because some of the students are sneaking a bit ahead of us. You do not have to do that, okay? But you can see the great results that texturing can bring once you learn it, okay? I think the last thing I want to showcase is just the gallery. So finally, we have a reason to click this Art Gallery button, okay? If you ever click this button, it will take you to the database, which will give you a database of pages for each theme we've had so far, and then a bunch of pages for all the students in the course, including my page, which is just me sitting there and testing stuff, basically, okay? It looks like I'm in big trouble, okay? Right here, how many art pieces have I put up? 0, okay? Hey, over the summer, I actually created quite a few, okay? And you can see some of those in the daily model assignment, the top there. But you can see it will count how many pieces you've made. How many art pieces do I need to submit to get full credit for the assignment? Tell me right now. 41. 41. Fantastic. It's right here, okay? How many times have I skipped? 5, this little X number, and how many more skips do I have in my pocket if I want to take a break? 27. That's what the hearts mean, okay? Maybe I'll program a tooltip or something so I don't have to explain this in the future. But, okay, do the best you can. Yeah, don't be afraid to send your cool stuff to look at all these great models. I love this one. It's the Cookie Monster. This is so good. Yeah, I don't think you realize how impressive you all are, okay? You're all doing a fantastic, fantastic job. Good books. We got Minecraft with the mushroom helmet. Nice, a delicious panda donut. Aw. The staff loves this stuff. Yes, Nicole, thank you. One thing I really want to do is maybe at the end of the semester, I want to collect these GIFs that you're making of the characters, because they are so impressive. If I can here's a little programming tip for all of you. If you can get anything into a spreadsheet, your powers are unlimited, okay? So maybe at the end of the semester, I'll send a Google form around where we can kind of collect some of your gifts from the various homeworks. Because at the end of this semester, you know what we're going to do? We're going to generate your portfolio, your gallery, one final time, but we're going to remove all the skips so it looks much nicer. And we're also, if I can do it, we're going to get a bunch of your characters on here too. Okay, I'll have to send out a Google form to collect them from you. I also will try and get your web game, okay, your final web game embedded on there too, so that you can just send the gallery to people and you can send it to your recruiters. The career fair is happening right now in the Beister building across the way. So yeah, hopefully it'll be a good time. Okay, very good. Any questions or comments on any of this stuff? Today, I think we're going to have the first opportunity to let you do the daily model in class. So hopefully we'll have around 20 to 30 minutes left at the end, and we can get that taken care of, okay? So you can just relax the rest of the night, all right? Okay, so yesterday was free draw. Today's theme is bed, and tomorrow's is game controller, okay? All right, so what I want to do is I want to talk to you about actually a topic that I find pretty tricky, okay? I am not a 2D artist. Is anyone in here, you consider yourself a pretty decent 2D artist? That is so awesome. I'm so jealous, okay? And I'm so excited to see how you combine your 3D and 2D art skills, because that is a potent combination, okay? I want to talk to you about the topic of detailing our models. Okay, it really is about detail, okay? You've made fantastic models so far, but for the most part, they're kind of high level, they're kind of not super detailed yet, okay? And I want you to look at these two coins, because I've got a question for you, okay? I want to ask you which of these two coins is more complex. I'm talking which of these two coins has more geometry? Which of these two coins is going to be slower for us to render in that game engine? Okay? Which one do you think? Okay, hold on a second. I'm talking about more geometry, worse performance, okay? How many of you think this one on the left is more complex? Okay, more complex, a few hands, okay? What about this one on the right, more complex? Okay, all right, a few more hands, yep. Okay, well, we're going to find out in just a bit. I'll give you more of a hint, though. In 2007, this coin on the left was created. It was created for the Super Mario Galaxy game for the Wii, okay? This coin on the right came 10 years later, okay? 10 years later in 2017, same franchise, Super Mario Odyssey coin, okay? And so the question, again, is which of these coins is going to be more complex, all right? Bigger, nastier, harder to render, but maybe more beautiful, okay? Maybe. We'll see, all right? So I want you to think about that question. And in the meantime, congratulations to all of you, okay? It's career fair. You've scored a 3D art interview. Congratulations. How many of you actually have, like, you know, at least on like the side of your mind, you wouldn't mind working in the film industry or animation or big game dev or indie game dev, right? Okay. Well, the good news for you is that in particular, this is a Blizzard interview. Okay. So yay, a big, impressive game studio, great characters, great animations, objects, all that good stuff. Okay. And even better news, you've aced the interview. Okay. The interviewer loves it. And you're about to get that job. You've got one final question that you have to answer, okay? Final question. You've been killing it thus far, okay? The interviewer, the Blizzard employee, asks you, okay, so how did you handle all that detail and all the coloring on those cool, low-poly indie models that you've been making, okay? And by indie models, I'm talking about these things. Okay, and some of your daily models and some of your homework 2 stuff, okay? How have you been handling your detail, your color? What have you been doing thus far? You've got a character, but they're just a gray box, right? You want to add like a smile to the face. You want to add like, some color to the hat. Maybe make the cheek areas pink, right, for kind of a cute effect. What have you been doing so far?
For me, when I wanted to add like facial details, I would use the knife tool, just cut out the geometry, so it doesn't get sense.
Yeah.
I can get shapes easier.
Yeah, absolutely, right? So knife tool, okay? We're going to go into the object and we're going to use the knife tool, or maybe we use inset or something else. We create some more geometry. Okay, and then once we've created the additional geometry, what do we need to do? Okay, we'll create some new geometry. And then what do we need to do? Yes?
Assign it a material.
Yeah, let's create a material. Let's create 2 or 3 new materials. Okay, and we'll assign the materials to the different phases. We can make one material shiny. We can make the other one red. We can make the next one blue. Okay, and it's going to look awesome, right? It does look pretty cool. Okay. And as you say this, as you deliver your answer, silence fills the room, okay? And then that silence, it turns into tension, okay? And you can just feel the energy kind of spiking and draining at the same time. You've said something you shouldn't have said, okay? And he follows up with the famous phrase, "Don't call us. We'll call you," okay? Because you blew it. You blew it, all right? This is not the way we want to be adding detail to our models, at least in the long term. This is not the way you want to do it if you are aiming to be a professional, okay? And there are a few reasons for that, okay? We, so far, have kind of been doing detail wrong. And not necessarily, okay? But adding more geometry, why do you want to be careful about adding more geometry? Every vertex you add, every face and edge that you add does something. What does it do? Any ideas?
Could it add like
handguns?
Well, it certainly could. Absolutely. That's a big scary thing as well. Yes. So every time you add geometry, you create new faces, there's a potential you mess up your topology, you make it harder to add more geometry in the future, right? So that's one big thing. Good job. Yes.
It makes them more complex.
Yeah, every time we add more geometry to our mesh, we are making our model more complex, okay? It's bigger, there's more data, okay? Rendering it is going to be a bit slower, okay? When we made this block M and we decided we wanted the inside of this block M to look different than the border, we made an inset. That created more faces, more geometry, quite a bit more geometry actually. I think it like doubled the amount of geometry on this face, actually. Okay? The more geometry your model uses, the worse the performance will be when you put it into a game. If you put it into a film, the film will take longer to render. And so you want to be a little bit careful, okay? Drawing detail via geometry is also a slow operation. The knife tool is okay at adding big details, but if you want to get very, very granular, okay, a lot of fine details, knife tool is very slow, okay, and the knife tool makes a mess of your topology, a total mess, usually, okay, and so if you get too crazy with adding detail, especially with the knife tool, soon you will find that you can't make any more changes to your mesh. It's going to look like that crazy pot from last lecture. You remember? Vertices everywhere, okay, with no sort of organization. You can't make any changes anymore. And so, adding geometry is not the first desirable choice when it comes to adding more detail, okay? The second part of our process is actually even worse, okay? You're going to create more materials, all right? Are you kidding me? This has gone from one material for the entire block M to now 2 materials. This didn't have to be the case, okay? We can have maybe models that have 5 materials, 6, 7, 10, 20, you know. What's the limit? Well, here's the limit. If you know anything about game engines, you might know that for every material you have, it's going to cost you an extra draw call on that object. What is a draw call? Well, as you go through a scene and you start rendering all the different objects you have, those objects need to get rendered, and they usually get rendered one at a time. If you're using the same material, you can batch them, and you can render 2 objects or more in one draw call. Very fast, very efficient. But if your object is using multiple materials, that is a guaranteed draw call for every material you use, all right? And so suddenly, your graphics, okay, just exploded in complexity, and now you're running at like 10 frames per second, okay? If you look very closely right here, you can see Unity's frame debugger, which I might teach you about in the second half of the course when we move inside of game engines, okay? This Unity is complaining to you right now and saying, hey, I can't batch this cube with the previous cube because they're using different materials, okay? So the more materials you have in your objects, the slower, the worse the performance is, okay? We do not want to be making new materials for every new color that we want to put on our object, okay? Imagine a gradient which has like thousands of colors, one line after another. It would be a disaster. We would barely be able to render one object without our frame rate tanking from 60 frames per second, very smooth, to like 5. Super choppy, unplayable, okay? So materials ruin performance. We really want to find a way to minimize the number of materials we use. So far, we've just been using them like crazy, okay? But we would like to use as few as possible, okay? All right, here's a quick story, personal story. Some of you have seen this before. I'm currently porting a game, an indie game. It's kind of a horror game to Nintendo Switch. And one of the things I discovered is that, you know, performance isn't a big deal, right? We got expensive computers and they got really deluxe graphics cards, right? First of all, no, not everyone has super deluxe computers, okay? Those things are expensive. Oh my goodness, have you seen the prices for a graphics card lately. It's like several $1,000s. It's completely outrageous. And what's more, if you ever want to put your game on game consoles, did you know that Nintendo Switch, how many of you have one or have at least heard of it? Okay, that Nintendo Switch, I would say is like about half as powerful as this thing right here in my pocket. Okay, that is old 2017 era mobile technology, and it wasn't even the best mobile technology from 2017. Okay, it is not a super powerful console. And if you look here, I have a very simple looking game. Okay, but if you zoom in, it says 13 frames per second. Brutal. That performance is awful. Okay, and I had to optimize this for quite a long time. I was using way too many materials. Okay, and in particular, I had way too much geometry on my objects. Okay, this key killed my performance. Okay, put this key in the game, you're toast. Okay, look at this key. Does this look like a really crazy, complicated key to you? Only, almost 1 million triangles. Okay, oh my goodness, that is a disaster. You put this key in your game. If the camera comes anywhere near it, like the game's gonna slow to a chug, okay? So anyway, the two things to remember. The more geometry we have and the more materials we have, the worse our performance is gonna be. And that's just the start of our problems, okay? So, our goal this week, is we want to find a way to add detail, because we have to, right? We want to make these models more intricate, more beautiful. We have to add detail, but we need to do this without adding more geometry. And we have to do this without adding more materials. We want to keep both of these things at a minimum. We need to find a new way to add detail and color. Okay? How are we going to do this? It's like, wait a second, is this even possible? Right? Well, yes, it is absolutely possible. Because, you remember these? Okay, I've got a big plot twist for you. Okay? You're never going to believe it. But on the left here, right, I asked you which of these coins is more complex and harder to render. On the left, we have a coin with 268 triangles. How many on the right?
The same amount?
No way. Way better. On the right, we only have 96. How can this be? How can it be possible, right? I think most of us would agree, maybe there's some, differing opinions, but I think most of us would agree that this coin looks very fancy. It looks very you got these nice kind of soft edges in here. It looks like it's been subdivided or something, right? Or beveled or something like that. Over here, it's a little bit sharper, right? A little bit more jagged. Okay, we've got the smoothness. Look at all this lighting. It's gorgeous, okay? How can it be possible that this coin on the left is actually the heavier, nastier coin, the more complicated, complex coin, when it looks the exact opposite? Well, here's how, okay? Here's how. Look under the hood at the wireframe. All of this detail around the coin, the rivet in the kind of center of the coin, right, the little dent, is actual model geometry. They're using quads and triangles to create this inner detail. Okay? But Nintendo got way smarter in 10 years. Okay? And they said, we're not going to model this detail in the geometry. We're going to use a texture instead. Look at that. It's this reminds me of just a big pizza. Okay? Look at how simple this is. This rivet is not geometric detail. It's faked. It's all in a texture, a 2D image that is mapped onto that coin to make it look incredible, while under the hood, it's super simple. Okay? Over here, we are using geometry to achieve the detail that we want. And like we said, that's very expensive to do. You don't want to do that. Okay? Over here on the right, we are instead using a more modern technique. We are using textures to achieve our detail, okay? And in particular, the textures that are achieving this look is right here. Here's one of them. This is called a light map. This is a special texture that kind of tells our renderer how light should bounce off the coin from different angles, okay? And so this allows us to kind of fake this lighting effect, okay? Even though this geometry is not here. It's just a flat coin, but it looks like it has this geometry, okay? That's because of lighting and how light reflects off these sides. This image right here is a roughness map, okay? Kind of a scratchiness map. So some of the nice like texture, it looks like a worn coin that's seen some action, right? Comes from that instead, okay? So these two textures allow us to achieve a lot of detail and personality on this coin that this coin over here on the left would have to use geometry to solve, okay? And so on the right, we have a much more performant coin. Okay, Nintendo learned a lot, and the hardware got much better in those 10 years to allow for this kind of technique to happen. Okay, I don't know to what extent this was possible on the original Wii. Okay, but on the Nintendo Switch, where the game came out, it was definitely possible. Okay, so what we just saw, this idea, we're going to use textures to kind of do our work and add detail. Okay, this is a technique called texture mapping, sometimes called UV mapping, okay? And the basic idea is this. Here's your geometry. It's Mario, okay? This is like Mario coming out of a game engine, which is why it's all using just topology. I see that model, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I don't want to mess with that model because, yeah, I want my quads. Where are my quads at? We're going to take this geometry, and instead of adding a bunch of materials and details, we're only going to add one material with a texture. Here it is. Okay? Here is the texture. Doesn't that look weird? This is a texture that is like just a 2D image like you would find on the internet. Or maybe you draw this in Microsoft Paint or Photoshop or GIMP. You draw Mario's overalls, you draw one of his eyes. Where's the other eye? You don't need the other eye, okay? You don't need the other eye. That's how this kind of works. We draw the textures we need onto this image, and then we can map it. We can choose to put this eye onto this geometry, and this eye, we're going to mirror it, and then we're going to put it on this side. That's why one eye in the texture can represent two eyes on the model, okay? The overalls are going to be over here, okay? The gloves are going to be over here. The hat's going to be up here. I'm not sure what happened with this part of the hat right up here. Kind of got messed up. Thanks to USC for this super cool image set. And your mission as a 3D artist, once you have a texture like this, is to kind of decide, okay, which parts of the texture are going to go where, okay? Right? The hair is up here, so we're going to put the hair up here, right, on the side of his head, right? We need to grab the faces that we want, and we need to put those faces on the right location on the texture, or vice versa. Find the parts of the texture we want, and we need to map them onto the 3D surface, okay? Here's how that kind of sort of looks, right? You can follow these lines, and you can see where everything went, okay? Do you see these like weird, like web-like structures? You see some quads in here. Here's a quad, here's a quad, here's a quad. Down here in the eyes, here's a try, here's another try, here's a try, okay? Up in the eyebrow, here's a try. These are all faces. These are the faces of the mesh. You can see these faces. Faces are usually 2D, right? A triangle is always, you can always represent that on a plane in 2D. So the triangles, this triangle right here, I kid you not, is literally like this triangle right here on the map. These little shapes that represent the faces on the texture, those are called UVs, okay? They're called UVs, and they help us kind of understand what part of the texture is going to end up where, okay? And so that's a good way to kind of think about it, okay? Texture mapping, UV mapping, okay? These are kind of synonyms. They're kind of the same thing, all right? And what I want to do is I want to actually do 2 demonstrations with you, okay? But you know what? We're actually at 2:20, so this is a good opportunity. Let's take our 5-minute break. We're going to come back, and we're going to add a crazy amount of detail onto a very simple object, okay? See you in 5. Whoa! Is that Goku? Whoa! That's awesome. So later I'm going to talk a little bit about like kind of the financial and industrial aspects of being an artist. I kid you not, and I'm going to show you proof of this in like a couple lectures. You know what one of the best way to become like a famous indie artist is? Like actually start making money, build a huge Patreon? What's that? Merchandising? Well, not initially. Eventually. What's that?
Fan art.
Fan art. Exactly. Fan art. Copyright. Not supposed to do it? You do it. Okay. So there are so many people doing fan art. The companies that own IP can't possibly swat them all down. They don't want to, right? Because people creating fan art of their favorite characters is a good way to grow the popularity of that franchise, that IP. So here's what you do. I'll talk about this with more detail in the future, but basically you become an excellent 2D artist or 3D artist. You go and find out what is trending today. What is trending this week? What is something that's trending lately, like a very popular IP? What's that? Hollow Knight. Yes, Hornet. Okay. So Hollow Knight. K-pop Demon Hunters. Okay. What else? Anything? You go and you find some IPs. Okay. If it's a month old, you're too late. Okay. You go and find something, and then quickly, within a day or two, you create some cool, fan art of that character, okay? 3D models in particular, like Hornet doesn't have many 3D models. You create a cool 3D model of Hornet or one of the K-pop characters, and you're going to have very little competition for attention. Anyway, you make it edgy, you add a little bit of erotica, and that will get a lot of attention, a lot of eyeballs. Okay? And that gets you a lot of followers on your Twitter, whatever it's called now, or your Blue Sky, or your art station, okay? Then what do you do when you have a lot of followers? A lot of people are following you. They like your fan art. They like the characters. They like your art style. Then what can you do? Start a Patreon, because you can't sell someone else's characters as artwork, but you can set up a Patreon so people can pay you to kind of sort of do that for free, air quotes, for free. You can also start mixing in your own characters and original IP, okay? If you have 100,000 followers because people love your low-poly PS1 era artwork, okay? I'll show you examples of this in a bit. It's worked for many people. You can start selling things like comic books for characters that no one has ever seen before, okay? And that is how you can be a successful indie artist. So I'll show you a little bit more about that in the future, okay? I'm not sure. I wonder how many of you are thinking like you want to do art kind of on the side, or maybe like you want to try the indie route. You don't want to go straight to Pixar. No? Okay. All right, cool. All right, good. Good. Okay. Anyway, I'm not sure which student this is, but this student gets it. Okay? Nyla, are you here? All right. Nyla knows what's going on, okay? Make cool fan art, you'll get a lot of attention. Okay. Let's I think that's about it. Okay. Was that 5 minutes? Is that 5 minutes? Okay, people are starting to come back. I think that's 5 minutes, okay? Okay, everyone. We've got this situation right here. We've got a cube, okay? We've got a cube, and you know what? I want to create a brick, beautiful house. I want to have a brick exterior. Beautiful, detailed, okay? And also, a bit later, I want to have a gorgeous window. Yeah, all right? A beautiful window on the side of my little brick house, okay? Now, the way that we would previously do something like this is say, okay, I need to make a brick pattern, right? So I don't know, maybe I'll get some edge loops going this way, and I'll get some edge loops going. Look at all this extra geometry. Oh, this is nasty, okay? And I'll just kind of, grab these like alternating patterns. What happened to this? What happened to this part? Did my edge loop like not happen over here? There you go. Okay. Oh my goodness, and on this side too, look at all this geometry I have to create. It's just wild, okay? The performance is going to be awful. The Blizzard recruiter is just going to laugh and walk away, okay? And I have to grab all this. It's also very slow, okay? And then I'm going to go in, and I'm just going to do this one side, just this one side. I'm going to create one material, okay? This is just for like the goopy like glue stuff. What do they call that in the middle? Cement, right? And then I'm going to create another material for the red bricky part, right? And I'm going to go in and I'm going to make it red and I'm going to assign it like that, okay? And it's just, there you go. There's my brick, the beginnings of my brick house. It looks more like a big boy restaurant or something like that, okay? That checkerboard, picnic blanket. This is no way to live. Okay? When we want to create detail, we really want to avoid altering the geometry of our objects. Okay? We want to keep the geometry as simple as possible. And if you look at a lot of modern games and films, it's actually shocking. You'll see beautiful, cool characters that have very simple geometry, actually. Just a handful of triangles in their entire hand. Okay? So, we are already way over budget here. We've got way much going on. I don't like this at all. We've got 2 materials. I don't want 2 materials, okay? So let's, actually, I'm just going to delete the entire cube, okay? Bye-bye. Okay, we need a better way to do this. So you know what I'm going to go to? I'm going to the internet, okay? We need some help. We need an image of a bunch of brick, okay? I happen to know of a handful of really good websites for finding big, nice, free textures, okay? One of them is called Ambient CG. This one shows up in EECS 494 and EECS 440 as well. This is like a classic. It's an old friend, okay? Ambient CG is just a really nice like online community database for different surfaces. Okay, so I can search, for instance, I can search right here. I can search for brick and look at all these great options. Okay, isn't that awesome? I can click on any one of these I like. Which one do you like? I kind of like this one. It's a little bit more rugged, a little bit older, a little bit beat up, right? It looks lived in, you know? Doesn't that look nice? Okay, I can choose what resolution I want to download in. I'm going to download just the cheapest one. Okay, we'll make this fast. This is not a big thing. I'm going to go in. I'm going to open up this big, let's see here, this big zip file. I'm going to open it up. There it is. Okay, all of these textures. Do you see? When you download a surface like this, you're downloading a material, kind of. And a material isn't just one texture. It can be a lot of textures. It can be many things, okay? So I can look through all of these textures I've got, all these images. Look at this one right here, okay? This one's going to be pretty obvious. Look at that. Yeah, like that's a color. That's the color of your brick, okay? But do you remember from a few lectures ago? There's a difference, okay, between just having a color and being a material, okay? The color of both of these objects up here, the whiteboard and the wall, are both white, but the material is way different, okay? There's a glossiness, there's a shininess to this material that the wall doesn't have, okay? And so with materials, you usually get them in these big bundles, these zip files full of other textures. This is the displacement texture. This will actually, if you use it, this will make parts of your mesh kind of come out and go back in to give you that depth feel like between the brick, okay? You remember that light texture I showed you on the coin? Well, guess what? Here it is for the brick, okay? Do you see these weird blues and pinks and greens? Why is it colored so strangely? Well, on any given pixel of this texture, you're getting RGB, okay? And those numbers, the color values, actually tell Blender, tell your game engine, how light, what direction, what vector should the light bounce off of that part of the mesh, okay? That part of the texture, okay? So this is going to control how light seems to bounce off the object. This is what gives your texture some depth, okay? Allows you to create that fake rivet in the middle of the coin, okay? We're going to worry about this stuff, I think, on Wednesday a little bit more. But for right now, all I really want is this color, okay? So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go into my brick here, my cube, and I'm going to go and I need one material. I need one material, okay? I need one material. And I've got it, okay? I can change the color like you've done many times, right? But actually, I don't want a uniform color. You know what I want? I want something else. I'm going to go to this base color property right here. Instead of clicking this big rectangle that shows me the color wheel, I'm going to click this little circle next to it. And when I do, I've got all these options for how I want to color my cube, okay? In fact, I can give it a brick texture. There's a built-in brick texture for my material. This comes with Blender. You don't have to do anything, okay? And I can even change all these details about the brick. I can choose a checker texture, okay? But actually, what I want is I want an image texture. Okay, I'm going to click on this again. I'm going to go over and say, I want my base color to be an image texture. This gives me the option to click this little open, okay, this little open button. I'm going to quickly grab the location of my texture. I'm going to come back in here. I'm going to click open. I'm going to enter it here, and I'm going to grab that color that I wanted. And look at that. All right. We now have this lovely brick, okay? We have this brick, and it is covering the entire wall of our house. But you know what? Like, I don't think it looks that great, do you? You know, it's a good start, because look at this great detail that we have. And if I go into edit mode, I can see that I still only have a few vertices. This is just one quad. I didn't have to use the knife tool. The geometry, super simple, super fast, good, efficient model, okay? This makes the Blizzard interviewer really happy, okay? So, what can I do? I think this brick is actually, it's kind of too big. Okay, I want this brick to be smaller. Have you ever seen a brick this big? It's taken up like half of your house. They don't make them like that, okay? So here's what I want to do. I'm going to click on my model here. I'm going to go to a new workspace. All these tabs at the top of your screen, they're called workspaces, okay? And what I want to do is I want to edit my UVs. I'm going to click on UV editing right here. Now, I don't know why Blender does this. It drives me up the wall, okay? But right now, I can't see any of my actual textures on my block. They're gone. I have to go and stretch it out like that so I can see my preview modes, and I can go to viewport shading, and now it's back, okay? So, what do I want to do? Well, I'm going to go to object mode. I'm going to click on this, go to edit mode again. And I think, yeah, when I click on these surfaces, I go to face mode, okay? When I click on each of these faces, do you see what happens over here on the left? On the left, we can see that image that we downloaded from the internet. But every time I click on a face, I can actually see where that face is on the texture. And if I click a different face, well, the shape moves, okay? When I click on a face, this over here is the UV for that face. And it controls the mapping of where the texture goes on the object, okay? So the cool thing, the really cool thing, is that I can actually click over here on a face that I want to change. Let's say I want to make this, I want to make this the other direction. Currently, it's going vertical, right? I don't want it to be vertical. I want it to be horizontal brick, okay? I'm going to click on this face, and then I'm going to grab this shape over here, and I'm going to hit R. I'm going to rotate it as if I were rotating anything else. I'm going to hold Control just like I would normally to snap it. And when I'm done rotating, look at that. I've just rotated basically the entire texture that is on this face, okay? What I've done is I've rotated the UV. I've told Blender that I want something different, okay? And if you look at all the rest of these, okay, this one and this one and this one, okay, I can hold Shift to select all these faces at the same time and look at, I can see this face and this face and this face. I can grab them all and I can rotate them like this and handle them all at the same time. Not too bad, huh? Pretty cool. If I say, well, look at all of these faces. The textures, the bricks are way too big. The bricks are way too, it's like they're blown out. They're scaled to be super big. It's weird. It doesn't look good at all. I'm going to hold Shift. I'm going to grab all of these sides, okay? I can see them building up over here. Click, Shift, click, Shift, click. Okay, I think I've got all of them, right? Yep, I got all the faces selected. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab all of these at the same time. I'm going to hit S, okay? And I'm going to scale these up like this. And as I scale the UVs up, the bricks, they get smaller, okay? And look at that. That looks way better, doesn't it? We can go back to layout, and we can enjoy having what looks like, actually, this is a reasonably sized room now, okay? I don't know about you, but when I see this, my brain starts to get some dopamine that I wasn't getting, like, I don't know, 30 seconds ago. Okay? It actually looks real now, kind of. Okay? So that's pretty cool. Okay? Now, what I want to do, and I'm thinking about, I want to do something kind of special here. I'm not sure if I can do it because I didn't practice it. Okay? But maybe I can do it. I'm going to do the easier thing first that I'm pretty sure I can do. We need to go find a window. Okay? We need to go find a window. All right, we need to go find a window somewhere. I don't think Ambient CG has any windows. We can try it. Windows? No. Window? No. No, that doesn't look that great. What could we do? can we go to like Pixabay? Go to Pixabay. This is a really great place to get like royalty-free stock image stuff. Just see if they have a window for us. That one's kind of cool. I don't know. Yeah, this one is not, I'm not sure how it's going to look, but you know, we got this middle part here. We could rip this out, okay? You think we should try? Want to? Okay, here's what I'm going to do. Like that. Boom. Nice. I've got my image now, just like that. Okay, so I'm going to save this. We're going to call this window. And now, here's where things get a little bit spicy. There's a way to do this without adding a new material. But I'm actually gonna add one new material because I know I can do that. Maybe I'll have to practice it. Oh, it's going down. Why is it going down? Okay. I'm gonna add a new material, which is something we don't want to do. Okay. But I'm gonna show you how we can add in that other texture. Okay. This is the easy way to do it, but it's the less performant, less professional way. I'm going to create a new material. I'm going to call this the window material. And I am going to change, just like I did before, I'm going to change my base color to an image texture. I'm going to go find, oh, it's just in downloads, easy to find, okay? I'm going to go open this. I'm going to go to my download folder. I'm going to try and find this thing. What did I call it? I just called it window. Right? Window.png, maybe? Did it find it? Okay. And then I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go over here to this particular face. I'm going to assign this face to this window. Okay? And now we have this face using the material that is using this window texture. There's something wrong with this. Okay? There are like 5 things wrong with this. Let's knock them down one at a time. Maybe I can get them all. We're going to go and click on this face. We're going to go to UV editing, okay? And we can see with this face selected, it shows us this particular material. With when I select this face, the brick face, it shows us the other material. Okay, what we need to do is we need to fix the UVs, okay? We need to tell Blender what part of this face should be mapped to what part of this window texture. So I can see the UV right here. We need to move it up. That's a really good start. That looks way better already. We also need to kind of shrink it, okay? Like that, okay? Maybe like that. You can see that it's not aligned quite right. So I'm gonna grab it. I'm gonna grab the vertices. I can do really weird things. Look at this, okay? I can make a really weird shape that gets mapped onto this rectangle, this like kind of square, okay? I don't want it to be too distorted or this will look really nasty, but I'm going to put it at the very corners of our texture right here. And so this now looks better. It doesn't look amazing, but it looks better, okay? So now you might be fooled into thinking like, oh, this is like a weird little box, like a storage box or something. Or maybe like a weird doghouse or something. I don't know. But this isn't really what I want, okay? So what I really want is I want this window to be like a small part of this wall. I want the rest of this face to be a brick. Here's a way that I can kind of improve the situation, but it's going to cost us. It's going to cost us some geometry, okay? Watch what I'm going to do, okay? This is not the way you really want to do it, okay? Like this could be done better. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create some, let's create some edge loops here, okay? Like that. Okay, I'm going to create 2 more. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say these outer faces should actually be with the brick material. Okay. And then this inner face should stay with the window, but we need to adjust that UV because now it's way too small. So we're going to bring it up kind of like this. Okay. And look at that. Now that actually doesn't look half bad, does it? Okay. So we have our little brick house here, and we can look around it, and then you see there's this nice little window, okay? Looks all right. But the bummer here, again, is that the detail here is amazing, but we're using 2 materials. We're using 2 materials, and we wish we were using 1, okay? And that's a bummer. So what I'm wondering is if there's a way to combine these two textures into one. I'm not sure if I can do it live here, but I think I might be able to do it if I go home and do it. So here's what we're going to try and do, okay? I'm going to go to the, let me see here. I'm going to go to my two materials, and I'm actually going to just get rid of them, okay? The brick material is gone. I'm going to go to my window material, and the window texture is gone, okay? So we still have the brick material, we still have the window material, but they've lost their textures. So here's what I want to do, okay? I want to take that brick texture, and I'm going to bring it into my text editor kind of like this, okay? This is going to be our image, okay? This is going to be our image, and maybe I can kind of make it just a little bit bigger, this layer. Does anyone know what program this is? GIMP. And where is my manipulation tool to like make this large? Where is it? Transform. I want to make it bigger. I want to scale it. Okay, transform tools, scale, Shift S. Yeah, there we go. Okay, something like this. Okay, make it a little bit bigger maybe. And I want to also bring in that other image. Okay, let's go to downloads and let's go to the window. I'm going to bring this in kind of maybe right over here. Okay, so we now have a part of our texture that is the brick, which we wanted, and we have another part of our texture, which is the window. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to go ahead and make a thing here. Let's go to our desktop. Okay. Oh, it went to downloads, so now it's freaking out. I got too many files in my. Okay, here we go. Let's call this brick and windows. Okay. Well, just like that. Okay. We export this image, and now what we're going to do is we're going to try and use. No, I don't want to go to Microsoft Store. Okay, let's go to the desktop. Where is it? Desktop is not. Oh, here it is. Okay, I'm going to grab this link. I'm going to get rid of that. I want to get rid of this material right here. We're actually just going to call this main material now. Okay, and I'm going to go open up this image texture right here. Where's the desktop? Oh my goodness. Okay, here we go. There we go. You see how messed up this looks? But notice, we now have our window and we have brick, and we're only using one material. Okay? And so things are actually looking kind of up for us because this is way more efficient than it used to be. Okay? For now, I'm going to actually try and dissolve these edge loops. Let's see if I can do it. Dissolve edges. There we go. And I keep my nice brick in my nice cube all the way around. Dissolve edges, dissolve edges. We've got like a nice normal cube now. Okay? So let's go into our UV editing. Okay? And what I want to try and do is I want to try and move around these faces. Let's go into edit mode, face select, select this top face. Okay, this top face is like way over here. What's going on? Okay, very funky. So I'm going to bring this over here. I'm going to kind of make it smaller so it fits in here. Okay, and now you see we fixed the top. Okay, to fix the top, the bricks got a little bit bigger, but we've mostly fixed the top. I want this side right here to be the window, so I'm going to fix these other sides as well. Make it a little bit smaller, move it over here, maybe a little bit smaller still, there you go. Okay, I'm going to fix this one, move it over here. Okay, make it a bit smaller. Okay, bring it over here. Okay, and then the final, well, I've got two more to do, two more, okay? I'm going to bring this UV over here. I want this to be in my brick area, just showing brick stuff. So I'm going to do the bottom, and I want that to be brick as well, okay? So I'm going to bring that in here, okay? And that looks all right, okay? So I've got all these faces mapped except for this last one kind of right here, okay? Now this right here, first of all, this UV is not the shape of the actual face. Do you see how the face is actually a square, okay? The face is a square. But my UV, for some reason, it's like this crazy rectangle, okay? So I think one thing I'll try at first is I'll grab it and I'll try and make it a bit more square, And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and bring it down, and I'm going to try and kind of get my window right here. Okay, let me see right here. Okay, let's see, make it a little bit smaller. Okay, maybe lift these two vertices. I'll lift it up a little bit so we get the top border. At the bottom, we get the bottom border. Okay, and now, if you see, we've gotten back to our doghouse. Okay, we've gotten back to our doghouse design, but we are now using like almost no geometry at all. It's just the original cube. And we're now only using one material. But that one material is combining both textures. Okay? Now, the last thing we'd like to do is we'd like to make this a bit smaller. Okay? So this UV right here, we'd really like to kind of make it smaller, okay, so that this is in the middle here, like that. The window's in the middle, but we want brick to be like surrounding it, don't we? Okay, so one thing you can try and do here, let's see if we can try and do it. You know what I want to do? I want to take this image right here, okay? I'm going to take this window, and I'd like it to be surrounded by brick, okay? Maybe surrounded by a nice chunk of brick. So I might make this image a little bit bigger. Can I get more space here? Let's actually make it twice as big. Give me lots of space, okay? Actually, I'm going to be really, greedy, and I'm going to make it even bigger, actually, okay? Let's double that size 2, okay? Times 2, okay? And I'm going to bring it over here, and I'm going to bring some brick kind of around it, okay? So let's grab this brick over here, and let's duplicate it, okay? I'm going to duplicate this brick. I'm going to bring it over like this. I don't think that's quite enough, so I'm actually going to make this a little bit bigger. Where's my tool? Oh, here it is. Here it is. I missed the tool earlier. Here's my tool for kind of scaling it like this. Lots and lots of room, okay? And I'm going to re-export this. Export it again. We just changed the image. We changed the texture. I'm going to go up here to image and go to reload, okay? I think it just like lost my image. So actually, I'm going to go back into the material. I got to find this image again. Where is it? Is it this one? Brick and windows? Is that one? Is that the one I was writing to? Yeah, where was I writing to? Oh yeah, desktop. Okay, so that should be. So now when I come in here to my UVs, I got this brick area, but I also, for this particular wall over here, I can go in and I can kind of set it just right, okay? Hopefully I can come in and yeah, nice, okay? Right, so I've got that window right in the middle of my brick like I wanted, okay? And now I just have to kind of fix up those UVs because I changed the texture, which broke them all. So let's go ahead and let's make this more square-like, and then let's shrink it a little bit, and we're going to bring it over here. That's not too bad. I'm going to, can I just do this for the rest of them too? Yeah, all of these have this weird like rectangular shape to them. They should be squarish. I'm going to make them a bit smaller. And just move them all to the kind of the same area. And oh my goodness, would you look at that? So, is this mission accomplished or what? So, remember what we were trying to do. We wanted to add detail, and we've done that. This is pretty cool, okay? I actually like this a lot. And we can make this look even better by using the other material, the other images. What were they again? It was the displacement texture, the color, the lighting texture, right? But right now, if you look at it, we have this extremely simple geometry, okay? You can count the vertices easily on one hand. I need to turn this back on to see them. 1 vertice, 2, right? 3. We only have a few faces. And in the meantime, our geometry is super simple, but our material situation is ultra simple as well. only one material that's going to be ultra efficient, okay? This is going to run on your crappy mobile devices. It's going to run on your potato Chromebook, okay? It's going to run on Nintendo Switch, and it looks pretty good. It looks all right, okay? When you look at this object, if you go into the shading tab, you'll see that things are a little bit more complicated there, just a tiny bit, okay? So you can see our principled BSDF shader, okay? This is literally what you see when you click over here on the red little orb and you look at, oh, I got my material, main material, and I'm using the principled BSDF shader, okay, or surface they call it. If you can see, we're not just plugging a random color into this base color node of that shader, okay? We're actually sampling an image, and the image we are sampling is the brick and windows texture, okay? So as you mess with things over here, you will see them changing in this shading workspace as well, okay? This is where you can do a lot of very funky things. You can add really cool nodes. You can mix multiple textures into one. We did our mixing of multiple textures in our image program, okay? But anyway, this is the power of using textures to create really, really cool, highly detailed objects while keeping the geometry simple, okay? Imagine for 1 second if this were actual geometry. All the bricks were like their own inset, big bumped things, kind of like the chocolate bar, right? There's just tons of geometry, tons of faces, tons of edges, tons of vertices. And then one day, your boss at Blizzard comes over to you and says, hey, that's a great looking house, but I really want a roof. It would be a nightmare. Okay, you have tons of geometry, all of this geometry and materials on the brick, right? And you can't easily cut through all that to make a roof. But you know what we can do? Because we kept things so simple, okay? I'm done, boss. I'm going home, okay? Now, that's not quite the case, okay? Because we probably want to fix up the UVs here, okay? And we can do that. I think we can do that. Let's see here. You remember I'm an engineer, okay? Let's see here. Can I grab this? Oh, hey, all right. That actually looks kind of good, doesn't it? We can bring this down or make it a little bit smaller so it fits in here, okay? That looks really good, actually. So maybe one thing you want to do, though, is you want to kind of, let me see here, like that. You want to kind of take this roof area and you want to make it brown or give it another texture. You could take this image and in the GIMP or in Photoshop, we could find like a wooden texture. And we could put it into this corner where we got a lot of space. And then we could fix up the UVs so that this top part of the roof is like wooded instead. Then we can have 3 textures in one material and have a beautiful house while keeping the geometry super simple. You know what this kind of looks like to me? Just because how shiny it is up here. It kind of looks like a milk carton to me. Do you see that? Yeah. It's like this is like special brick flavor milk. I don't know. So what we can do here, I think, is we can we go in? We can make it rough. This will reduce the amount of reflection happening up here. We can also make it super shiny. Like I've never seen brick like this. That looks weird, huh? But you can still play around with things the way that you ordinarily do. But this is another way to very quickly get detail onto your models while keeping them simple, okay? And a quick reminder, I think I put this in the homework 3, okay? But there are lots of great sites for free images, okay? So Pixabay, all right, Ambient CG. And you know what? In this class, well, for the final project, we probably do care, but for these intermediate assignments, I don't care, okay? You can go to Google. I just want a wood texture, okay? That's all I want. You can just grab one of these, okay? I do not care. Most of these have a license so that you can't make money off them, and you shouldn't be using them super widely. But for just prototyping and educational purposes, you can grab one of these. You'll probably be just fine, okay? If someone reaches out to you and tells you not to use it, then change it to something else, okay? There you go, okay? Now, there's one more thing I want to show you that's kind of cool. And this is actually going to help you do one of your homework problems, okay? So you can make really cool objects by grabbing textures, okay, bringing them into materials, and then editing the UVs of the faces to kind of get them the texture into the right spot, right? But you can also use materials and UVs to do facial expressions, okay? So I want to show you this. We have our character here, okay? And this model is pretty cool, right? So it's got a lot of things going on under the hood, right, to make it work. You've got an armature, which we'll talk about in a week. Oh, is it going to render? Hello? I think it will render. Hello? We'll give it a few moments. But this particular model also has, oh, is it turned off? Oh, there it is. Okay, hello. So you've seen this character, Daisy, but you haven't seen her facial expression like this before. And that's because actually hidden inside of this model are a bunch of facial expressions that you can swap out. In fact, that's the reason they're there. They want you to animate your UVs, okay, to change what her eyes and what her mouth look like at any given moment, okay? So if you look at this particular face, the way it's constructed is it has 4 objects. The hair is one object. You can grab it, move it around. The eyes are another object, okay? They are literally just 2 quads, okay? Well, actually not quite. So 1 quad, 2, and then 2 tris, okay? This, let's see here, this mouth is also another object, okay? Let's look at the geometry of this one. This one is just a handful of tris, okay? And then there is the underlying facial area, okay, the kind of head area. These 2 things, the eyes object and the mouth object, are parented to the face, so that's why when the face moves, the eyes and the mouth automatically move, okay? If you click on one of these objects and then you go to the UV editing tab, you will see this texture. This is a texture called daisyexpressions.png. This is a image file, a typical image file. But one thing interesting about it is that you won't find it on disk, okay? It's not on disk anywhere. One way you can kind of get a feel for this is that it's not daisyexpressions.png. It's daisyexpressionspnd.001. That kind of gives you a hint that it's actually packed into the Blender file itself. So this is a bit of a problem because we can't, if it's packed in, we can't actually find this image to add another face, okay? So we'll worry about that in a second. What I want to worry about is that I have got these eyes selected. If I go into like the torso and I hit tab, I'll actually see another image that actually has like the shoes, okay, the gem on her chest, okay, earrings, stuff like that. The crown. I'm going to go into object mode. I'm going to go to the eyes. I'm going to go to edit mode. And when I select these eyes, I can see the UVs over here that are painting these cool expressions, the swirl expressions, the dizzy expressions, onto her face, okay? So I'm going to grab these UVs, G, and I can move them around. And as you move these around, it looks crazy on the right side, right? So you have to just kind of get past that, and you move them to roughly the right spot, and look at that. Her eyes, right? The faces that make up her eyes are now showing a different part of the texture that we're using. And it looks awesome, right? She has a much different expression now. It looks like she wants to go fight something. We can move it down here to get like the happy expression, okay? And if I move it too low, look at that. Part of her mouth down here is getting up into her eye faces. Okay, so it doesn't look quite right. You have to kind of work the shapes a little bit, move them around, but this looks fantastic, right? Super joyful, okay, looks great. We can move it around to down here to like the surprised, okay? Now you see this doesn't look surprised, but if we then exit, okay, go to object mode and then go into the mouth, we can see the mouth UVs and we can alter these. We can move these up to this like kind of frightened mouth expression, and now we've got like a oh crap, right? So this is an expression you might use like when the final boss jumps in, right? You're like, whoa, right? Dang, crazy. So we're gonna move these around, and actually, no, I think you've got it. I wanna fix up this eye though, because look at this eye, right? This eye is like, this left eye is getting some of the right eye right here, so I've misaligned things a little bit. Gonna go into edit mode, gonna grab all these, okay? I hit A to grab all the faces at once. I G to hit these. I move it over slightly until it looks about right. That looks pretty good. Okay, nice, all right. So what I want is I want the ability to draw another face onto the texture here. Because I see all these expressions, but I'm a good 2D artist, okay? And I think I can make a better expression, a funnier expression, something really cool, okay? And so I need to get this texture, which is called daisyexpressions.png. I have to get it out of Blender and onto my file system somewhere so I can find it in Windows Explorer or in Finder if I'm on Mac, okay? Otherwise, I can't open it up in GIMP or Photoshop or whatever program I'm using, Microsoft Paint, whatever. So here's how you do that. You go to Image, and you're going to go to Save As. And I'm going to go to the desktop where I can easily find stuff. I'm going to just save this as Daisy Expressions, just like that, okay? Click, and then we want to go and see if we can find that file that we just dumped out onto the desktop. There it is. I can double click it. I see the file. It's kind of a tiny file, right? Here's a tip. If you want to have this like lo-fi, I really like this kind of art style, right? Everything is a little bit like PS1 era, Mega Man Legends art style. Use a small texture, like smaller than you think, okay? And when you draw to it and then apply it, you'll get this nice kind of crisp, kind of low resolution retro vibe. Anyway, okay. So we got this texture right here, but I actually want to change it. We got all this extra space on the texture, so we don't have to do any shenanigans to get more space. It's just very, very nice. I can open this up in GIMP. And, okay, how big is this image actually? I'm very curious. I'm going to go up to canvas size. It's 256 by 256. That's a very common texture size for like the PlayStation 1, Nintendo 64 era. Okay, that's like a late 90s texture size, okay? I'm going to go in, and I see all this extra space, and I'm actually going to go, I'm not sure why they put like this checkerboard pattern here, okay? Let me see here. I'm going to go in, and I'm going to delete this, okay? Now I've got this wonderful extra space where I can draw whatever I want, okay? I'm an extremely good 2D artist, so I'm going to go ahead and let me see if I can, let's see. Okay. Like that. Cool. Okay. Rock and roll. All right. We're in business. Okay. Maybe I could add, if I really want to, I could add some like eyebrows in here, something like that. You think I should? Do you think it'd look good? Does Daisy have eyebrows on the mesh somehow? No, she doesn't. So we do need to add our own eyebrows. Okay. I'm not sure what this facial expression is even telling us, but I want to see what it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and go to File and then overwrite daisyexpressions.png, okay? That's going to change the file. Now, when we return to Blender, the file, it still looks the same. What the heck, right? Well, unfortunately, you have to tell Blender to reload it. So I'm going to go over here to Image on this left side over here. I'm going to go to Reload, and look at that. Look at that. We've got our new facial expression. So we're going to do the thing we already did. I'm going to go, and I'm going to grab the eye object, go to edit mode, grab all the UVs. Now here are my UVs over here. I'm going to hit G. I'm going to bring them over. Okay, that's like a panicked. It's like kind of a panicked face. All right, I don't like that too much. So what we're going to do is I'm going to now go out. I'm going to grab the face. Okay, the face UVs. I'm going to bring them down here. Okay. Oh, that's kind of cute, actually. Doesn't that look good? Like, that's surprisingly good. Okay. Let's bring these down here, though, because I want to see how my custom mouth looks. I don't even know what this means, okay? If you see someone doing this kind of face, like, what does that mean? I don't even know, okay? I think Blender might have just crashed. Yeah. Okay. Well, in any case, right, you can see how if you bring some 2D art knowledge into this, right, you can make some really fun stuff very fast. I bring 0 2D art knowledge into this, and I was still able to make kind of a funny, cute face, okay? All right, it was just lagging. It wasn't messed up, okay? But anyway, this is the kind of thing that is going to start to take your models, not to be cheesy here, right? But I think it fits like to the next level, okay? These models are amazing for the amount of knowledge you have and the amount of time you have. Like, no one would believe you were able to do this after 2 weeks, okay? These are nuts. And some of the characters you made last night, ridiculous. They look absolutely incredible. I was showing some of them to my 494 students this morning, and they couldn't believe it, okay? Like, you got to be kidding me. 2 weeks? That's it? And they're making these awesome characters. They look like they're playable already, okay? But anyway, if you look at a lot of these amazing models, right? Here's an awesome model, okay? Jose did an excellent job on this one, okay? The detail, right, clearly it has like a material-only kind of vibe, and that's because we're only using materials with these uniform colors, right? But you could map a kind of gritty, metallic, maybe a copper texture onto this metal, onto these faces, and you can get a really gritty, like deep dungeon kind of feel onto this metal. And it would look really cool, and you could do this very fast. As long as you can find a good material, good texture that you really like, map it onto that metal, it's gonna look crazy. If you wanted to, like you've got some lore in your game, like this isn't just a sword, this is a sword from like a famous medieval house or family, okay? This is like the sword of Westeros, okay? Game of Thrones. You could actually draw some really fancy, like engravings in a paint program, like Krita or Photoshop or GIMP or Microsoft Paint, whatever you want to do. You can map it to this face, and then when people look at it, they would see, oh my gosh, this is like the sword of House Stark, okay? Or this is like the Lannister sword, okay? And that is a way to quickly get really cool details onto your models, and you do it for very cheap. The performance, okay? Throwing a texture at these models will barely affect the performance at all, especially if you keep the textures kind of smaller and a bit lower res. And this is how you're going to get a lot more detail out of your models. And I think soon you're going to notice the models start to look a lot more detailed, okay? A lot more gritty, a lot more real because of all of you using these textures, okay? So in the future, when we come back on Wednesday, I think we're going to talk a little bit more about those really cool kind of other textures. You remember these, right? This crazy, you know the color, okay? Like, you know the color texture right here. But what about like this one? That's weird. It's just kind of a grayscale texture, okay? What about this one, okay? It's like a weird kind of crazy alien colored texture, okay? It has a bunch of lighting data inside of it. There's a roughness texture. There's an ambient occlusion texture. I think I'm going to try and put together a lecture for Wednesday that kind of demonstrates what all these things are, actually, okay? Because this will make it look even better. Okay, and we'll talk about that on Wednesday. Do any of you have any questions before we give you a little bit of time to start that daily model if you want to? You're going to have about 15 minutes if you want to use it for that. Any questions? Any questions? Comments? Okay, have some fun, all right? Like, yeah, this stuff's pretty cool. Man, does it make your models pop, all right? It is super, super cool. I'll tell you, like, when we made this brick house, like, I really like horror games. Like, I don't know, like, this is the kind of thing I've seen like a Slender fan game or something online, I want to kind of explore and dive through this window and see if there are any traps or cool, monsters or characters in there. So anyway, That's all I have for you today, everyone. I wish you luck, okay? Please start the homework 3 early if you can. Hopefully it won't take as long, okay? But again, like if you've got some recommendations for the assignment, if you think we can make it faster, let me know about that stuff, okay? Don't keep it to yourself, because we often actually improve the assignment while you're working on it. We add more tips, more guidance, more videos, and sometimes we tweak the assignment a bit too. That's another thing. When you find a new assignment, I don't download the Word document or the PDF. Because the moment you download it, if I make any updates or improvements to the assignment, you won't see those changes. But if you're using the Google document, right, then you will see those changes. You might even see me make the change in real time. One of our students found me, I think like a night or two ago, like making some changes to add some help to one of the assignments. Anyway, okay, you've got like 15 minutes till 3:30. Use that for whatever you want. I'm going to be walking around. It is office hours time. And yeah, remember to push your commits, okay? Push your commits, get it into the cloud, safekeeping. If you don't know what that means, just come up to me. I'll help you out. All right, see you later, everyone. Have a good one. All of you at the career fair, good luck with your interviewing. Remember, interviewing is a very stochastic process. You can do everything right and still come up short. So that means you need to play the numbers game. You need to apply as many places as you can. You got to interview as many places as you can. And remember, we all want that dream job. But if you don't waste your time, careers are very long. You can work your way toward your dream job. You don't have to be there immediately. Okay, just do the best you can. And you've got a lot of time to work your way to that Blizzard job if you want it. Okay? Okay, I'll see you next time. Everyone online, I will see you later. Bye-bye.